Burkina Faso's President Ibrahim Traoré had been invited to a leadership summit in Washington, D.C., a gathering of global thinkers, activists, and leaders who were expected to speak on issues ranging from economics to geopolitics. The room was filled with journalists, politicians, young students, and business figures, many of whom had come expecting Traoré to deliver his usual firebrand, critiques of neocolonialism and international exploitation. But what unfolded that evening was something no one could have anticipated, and it would leave an indelible mark not only on those in the room but also on millions across the world who would later watch the viral footage online. The stage lights dimmed slightly as Traoré walked toward the podium. His demeanor was calm but firm, as always. The crowd grew quiet, waiting for another bold denunciation of Western policies, perhaps a call for African sovereignty, or even a heated critique of global inequality. Instead, Traoré took a deep breath, placed both hands on the podium, and paused for several seconds before he began to speak. "I came here today prepared to talk about policies, about systems, about the struggles of nations like mine," he said slowly, his voice steady yet heavy with emotion. "But there are moments in history when politics must step aside, when the truth of human connection is more powerful than any speech about power or money. Tonight, I must speak of a man who represented something larger than himself. Tonight, I speak of Charlie Kirk." At first, a ripple of surprise ran through the audience. Some shifted in their seats, whispering quietly to their neighbors. Charlie Kirk, a name synonymous with conservative activism in America, had never been linked publicly to Ibrahim Traoré, the young revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso. The crowd could not imagine what these two men, born on different continents, living under vastly different circumstances, might have shared. But as Traoré's words continued, silence overtook the room. "I did not know Charlie Kirk personally," Traoré admitted, his eyes scanning the faces before him. "But I knew his voice. I knew his courage. I knew that he, too, believed in standing for truth, even when the world mocked you, even when enemies tried to silence you. That is a rare quality today, not only in America, not only in Africa, but in the entire world." The room stilled, and the usual clicking of reporters' cameras slowed. Traoré's tone shifted from formal to deeply personal, as if he were speaking not just to the audience in the room, but to a friend who had departed. "Charlie Kirk reminded us," he said, "that freedom is not guaranteed, that voices must rise, even when they tremble, that the next generation, your young men and women in America, and our young men and women in Africa, must dare to think freely, to question, and to build a world where truth is not buried under fear." Traoré paused, and for the first time, his voice cracked slightly. He placed a hand over his chest. "You may think Africa and America are far apart, but the hunger for freedom, the desire to stand tall against systems that would crush the human spirit, these are universal. Charlie Kirk lived with that fire, and though he is gone, that fire has not been extinguished. It is here, in you. It is here, in me. It is here, in everyone who refuses to be broken." At that moment, the audience was silent. Some in the front rows lowered their heads. A young woman in the crowd wiped a tear from her cheek. The cameras captured every second, broadcasting an image of a leader not only speaking as a president but as a man grieving, reflecting, and honoring. Traoré then leaned forward, his voice gaining strength. "In my country, when someone leaves this world, we do not only mourn, we honor. We take their example, their fight, and we carry it forward. If you truly wish to honor Charlie Kirk, do not argue about his politics. Do not reduce him to debates on left and right. Instead, honor his courage. Honor the fact that he dared to speak in a time when silence was easier. Honor the truth that one voice can spark a movement, even if that movement shakes the comfortable and unsettles the powerful." By now, the crowd had shifted from shock to awe. The energy in the room had transformed. Many came expecting confrontation, but instead, they found themselves immersed in a moment of reflection that transcended ideology. Traoré's voice softened again. "I am not here to tell you to agree with everything Charlie Kirk believed. No man is beyond criticism. No man is perfect. But I am here to say this. When someone dedicates their life to standing firm in their convictions, when someone refuses to bow, that person deserves respect. That person deserves to be remembered. He looked upward for a brief second, as if speaking to the heavens. Charlie, wherever you are, know this. Your courage inspired beyond your borders. You reminded us that freedom is not an American word or an African word. It is a human word. And as long as there are people willing to fight for it, your voice will never be silenced. For several long moments, he said nothing else. The hall was so quiet that one could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning. Then, slowly, Traoré stepped back from the podium. But instead of leaving, he placed his right hand over his heart and bowed his head. The gesture was simple, but it carried the weight of sincerity. It was not a political performance. It was a tribute, raw, unexpected, deeply human. The audience erupted in applause. It was not the usual political clapping, mechanical and obligatory. It was thunderous, rising from the depth of shared humanity. Some people stood, others clapped with tears in their eyes. The cameras flashed again, capturing an image that would soon travel across social media. Ibrahim Traoré, the African revolutionary president, paying heartfelt tribute to an American activist in a way no one had anticipated. Within hours, the footage went viral. On Twitter, hashtags like #Traorétribute and #CharlieKirkMoment trended worldwide. On YouTube, millions watched and commented, some praising the authenticity of the moment, others debating the deeper implications. "This is the tribute America never saw coming," one commentator wrote. Traoré just showed us that leadership is about heart, not just politics. Even those who disagreed with Charlie Kirk's views found themselves moved. "I never thought I'd shed a tear listening to Traoré," admitted one journalist in a viral post. "But tonight, I saw something rare, respect that crossed oceans, ideologies, and differences." As the night ended, the conversations in Washington shifted. The summit had been expected to focus on technical policies. Yet it was this tribute, this moment of raw emotion, that dominated headlines. Analysts debated what it meant. Some speculated that Traoré was sending a message about unity across ideological lines. Others said it was proof that true leaders rise above politics to remind humanity of its shared values. But for those who were in the room, it was simpler than that. They had witnessed a man, a president, honoring another man for his courage and conviction, regardless of political labels. They had seen vulnerability, honesty, and dignity. And in that sincerity, they saw something timeless. As Traoré left the hall that night, someone in the crowd shouted, "Thank you." It was not shouted as a political slogan, but as a genuine expression of gratitude. Traoré turned slightly, raised his hand in acknowledgement, and walked out quietly, leaving behind a silence filled with thought and reflection. The world had come to expect boldness, resistance, and fire from him. And he had delivered, but in a way no one foresaw. Instead of defiance, he offered respect. Instead of anger, he offered honor. And in doing so, Ibrahim Traoré delivered not just a tribute to Charlie Kirk, but a lesson in humanity itself.